let's talk about the logistics of it for a minute, Dave. So there's another case, a big criminal case that's before the chief judge right now in Georgia. Again, this is state court. It was filed in May of 2020, and it's a RICO case. It's a criminal RICO case like this one, filed in May of 2022. And they began picking a jury on January 2nd of this year. So that's 8 months ago. They're still picking a jury. It's 8 months later. And this is a case in which 17 defendants have been named. Very similar on its, face to this one. You got 17 defendants, you got criminal RICO, and they began picking the jury 8 months ago, still haven't even finished that. There's no way this case gets tried in 6 months.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I think that was just aspirational, as they like to say, especially because you have 19 defendants. You have 41 counts. Now, keep in mind that case that she had against the teachers, which was a RICO case, that trial took 8 months. So there's no way they're getting this done in the next 6 months. And I don't think there's a chance they can get this done before the 2024 election. The only chance is if they somehow separate Donald Trump. But, Jack Smith did that on purpose, and he's going to get his trial sooner than later. But she indicted 19 people. So don't expect this to go anytime soon. Now, the thing that she has on her side, though, is time. Unlike Jack Smith, the indictment that she has is pardon proof. She does not have to worry about a future Department of Justice just dumping this case because they have no control over state cases. And the future president cannot pardon anyone here. And the governor of Georgia cannot pardon anyone for these crimes. And so she has the luxury of time on her side, and she's going to need it because this is a complex case that's going to take a while.
This one to me, Mike, the Jack Smith stuff does feel like election interference to me. But this one feels more like I want Donald Trump in jail. He's going to jail, thanks to me, Ms. Willis. The odds are good, I think, that she will get a conviction in Georgia. I don't know. I guess Georgia's a little bit more purple. It's not like a entirely blue district like Washington, D.C. But I feel like she's got a good chance. And if she does convict him, there's a mandatory 5-year sentence on the RICO count alone. So how do you see Trump's chances here?
It's obvious you have a Democrat prosecutor. You're going to have a Democrat jury. It's not going to be as bad as D.C. or New York with a Democrat prosecutor, Democrat judge, Democrat jury. But if they can get past the legal challenges of this case, then I think that there's a very good chance that the jury's going to find him guilty and the judge will convict him. The problem is the legal challenges. I think President Trump should file a motion to dismiss this case and bring up two different legal arguments that I think are compelling. Number one is presidential immunity. This is the enforcement of federal election laws. The Electoral Count Act of 1887 is certainly within the outer bounds of his duties as the president of the United States. And if you look at the case law, you can't bring civil cases against a president for exercising his official duties at the outer bounds. So why could you bring criminal cases against the president for exercising his official duties at the outer bounds? And then if it's not within his official capacity, and by the way, if you can on presidential immunity, that's immediately appealable. You can get interlocutory appeal, including all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. Alternatively, you can say if he's acting within his personal capacity, you can say that there's a First Amendment problem here. You can get these charges dismissed on First Amendment grounds.
Which would not be immediately appealable, and that would have to wait until post-conviction. What do you make of that, Dave?
Yeah, I don't think that either of those arguments will work in court. But one thing that could is that he's going to try to remove this case to federal court. I think he has a better chance at that. I still don't think it's likely, but he could argue that these are federal issues involving the time when he was president, because he was president when most of this stuff occurred. And so he's going to try to remove it to federal court where there would be no cameras in the courtroom, and he could get a judge that was appointed by him. So I think that's more likely. I have to disagree with my friend Mike that the Supreme Court would uphold presidential immunity or First Amendment rights to overcome this sprawling, sweeping indictment. One thing that Fani Willis is counting on, Megyn, is that she counts on the fact that several of these defendants will flip. And that way it won't be a 19-person trial, but many fewer. Donald Trump does not have the ability to wave pardons around to try to get people to stay on his side. So you have some of these lower level defendants that may want to cut a deal with Fani Willis, and the first one in will be the first one to win.
Can I ask you a question about that? Like, when you say flip, so I get this. I saw The Three Godfathers. I understand what, like, if you flip, you're a rat and you turn and you say, yes, the Godfather orders all the hits. It's all him. But this seems like, what does flipping look like? There's not some mystery that we need to get to the bottom of. Don't we kind of know? We know, like, Trump didn't believe he lost the election. Trump said he didn't lose. We have phone calls and the recordings of them. Like, I don't really understand what flip means or would do in this case.
Well, I also saw all three Godfathers. The first two were outstanding. The third was so disappointing. But that's another show for another time. What flipping means here is, like Mark Meadows, for example. He was in the room when it happens. He could actually talk about Trump's intent, his mindset. And that could go a long way if he takes a stand. Now, Jack Smith apparently has cut a deal with Mark Meadows already, but that's different than state court. And so I am really perplexed and interested to see what is the status of Mark Meadows. I got to admit, I did not expect him to be indicted here because his lawyers, I think, would not have copped to a deal with federal prosecutors, knowing they would also be subject to prosecution at the state level. So this is going to be really interesting. He could be the linchpin to this state case.
So you may have heard me talk about COVID tax relief now for a while. There might be money available for you and your business right at this moment. It's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. Listen up. Instead, government funds are already set aside meant to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. If you did the tough thing during COVID and you paid your employees during that pandemic, then you might qualify for up to $26,000 per employee at covidtaxrelief.org. The program's complicated, but no one knows more about it than the CPAs and tax experts at covidtaxrelief.org. You pay nothing up front. They do all the work and then share a percentage of the cash they get you. Businesses of all types, including nonprofits and churches, can qualify, even those who took PPP loans, and even if you had increases in your sales. Let covidtaxrelief.org help get you up to $26,000 per employee. Visit covidtaxrelief.org. That's covidtaxrelief.org, covidtaxrelief.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.